Good evening and welcome to the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners for our December meeting. I'm Commissioner Jameson, and for those of you who would like to join us, we are going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim, do you want to go now or after the?
No, now would be great.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to, before we opened up this meeting, just wanted to introduce Teresa Grover, our new Director of Finance here with the county. Teresa has been with us since I started. I think you predate me for about 30 days before I started. So about 7 years, and most recently has been the Deputy Finance Director, with Alex splitting up his position as Finance Director and Assistant Manager, and becoming now just a full-time Deputy County Manager. Teresa has stepped up and assumed the role as Director of Finance. So I want to welcome her on board as a Director here in Cumberland County, and she's already making headways on many different things and been at it for about a month now. So welcome aboard, Teresa.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
We appreciate that.
We have our condolences.
At least she knows what she's getting into, sort of.
Yeah.
Right? First item is approval of the minutes from the November meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Matter
I'm a
carried.
nay, because I wasn't here,
Yeah, neither was I.
so I'm
You can just abstain then.
I'm
Yeah,
abstaining. Abstain.
The matter carries 3-0. Informational report, Jim?
This evening, you have two items. The first item is that you have the most recent report from Thrive 2027. As the commissioners are aware, you make a contribution out of each budget to the Thrive campaign, and it is distributed through priorities previously set by the commissioners when we first entered the Thrive process. Second item that you have on the informational reports this evening is a visit from the Cumberland County Extension Service. As the commissioners are aware, they are a recipient of grant funds from Cumberland County on an annual basis for their operations. And they are here again this year to present their budget for the coming year to the county commissioners, so that when we get through this evening's meeting, we're kind of in full tilt of budget deliberations over the next 3 months, and conversations on their budget will come into play at some point. So I'd like to invite Sarah Davenport. Sarah, you taking the lead?
Sure, yeah.
Up to the mic, and she will take us through a few PowerPoint slides explaining their coming year budget. Sure, if you'd like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if we have quite enough for one per person, but we should be pretty close. And this is just a brief highlight. So you guys hopefully should have our budget application, which provides a lot of details and facts, figures, and numbers about our program. So we just wanted to pick a couple of areas that we've been working on to highlight and bring to your attention as you consider our budget for the Cumberland County Extension this year. So the first thing that we want to talk about is ways that Extension is meeting the needs in communities in Cumberland County. So our main Harvest for Hunger program is a program that donates pretty significant amounts of food to families and individuals in need in lots of communities in Cumberland County. And then our Master Gardeners have these Memorial Seed Grant projects, which do educational gardening outreach at a lot of different locations. So community gardens, this is the garden at the new Portland Homeless Services Center, and also at the Portland Housing Authority, and those are just some of the project sites. Our expanded food and nutrition program does food and nutrition education to families and young adults who meet financial criteria to qualify for the program and learn about preparing nutritious food and food budgeting. And there's a lot of numbers on these slides, and that's why I wanted you guys to have the handouts, just so you can kind of see them and refer back to them. And then our Community Central 4-H program is a USDA grant program that specifically outreaches to low-income families and to new Mainers, first-generation Americans, and have several program sites, particularly active in Cumberland County around the Portland area. And then the other priority that we wanted to share with you guys this evening was what Extension is doing for workforce development. So Extension offers these ServSafe certification courses, which are required by the state of Maine for all food establishments in the state to have someone certified in. And there's some numbers about that. We also work in maple industry education, and specifically have been doing collaborations with some local high schools, the Paths High School in Portland, and Falmouth High School, and then as well as outreaching to folks who are part of the maple industry here in Cumberland County, doing some basic training to prepare new producers and doing some training on quality control for established producers. And then we are also part of a professional development and agricultural literacy grant. So again, this is another USDA grant, and it's specifically targeting culinary education programs in high schools with an emphasis on cooperating with and partnering with local food systems. Our staff visit all the different culinary and technical education schools in Cumberland County to offer that program. And then we introduced last year a Maine horticulture apprentice training, which just provides education and skills to folks who are looking for entry-level positions, skilled entry-level positions in the horticulture industry, and does include an apprenticeship. So those individuals have been contributing to the horticulture industry over 1,100 hours in Cumberland County last year. And then finally, we have a workforce development tractor safety training. So that is a U.S. Department of Labor program, specifically often working with teens who want to work on non-family farms, and then some additional training for folks in the agriculture industry. So that's kind of buzzing through those highlights because we don't want to take up a lot of your time, but just want to draw attention to a couple of those priorities of our work. And then I just wanted to share with you a little bit more detail about our budget request for fiscal year 25. So with the funds that we receive from Cumberland County, that supports essentially it supports our local office, and that's what enables all the programs, not just the ones in the presentation, but all the ones in the application. So our office is located in Falmouth. It's right off the bus line. It's easy to access because it's near the highway and Route 1. And then the salaries for the administrative support staff that enable all of those programs. And we did just want to point out that this year's request represents a decrease of almost $5,000 from the last time that we came to you with a request, which was in fiscal year 23. We recognize that you have a lot of demands on the county funds, and so we've really tried to evaluate the real cost of what it takes to operate our office and to keep it open. So we evaluated our custodial costs and our printing costs, and then we also received an additional $10,000 in grant funding to offset part of one of our admin salaries. So this request is pretty much, this is the cost, the real cost of running the office in Cumberland County for Cooperative Extension. We also do have some folks from our Volunteer Extension Association board who I think wanted to share some of their own experiences with Extension with this group. I'll just leave this here.
Hi all, thank you so much for the time today. I know I've met some of you in the past. My name is Valerie Jones. I'm the president of the Cumberland County Extension Association. So we are a volunteer board and we meet monthly. And Sarah has put such a wonderful presentation together, but I hope you see the common theme of enablement. I think that's what I'm so impressed with Extension for, is that it is not a here's how to, like, here's just the solution. Here's how to own the solution and how to facilitate volunteerism within our community. So the 360 plus volunteers, the 10,000 hours, you know, all of that has tentacles that expand. So each dollar that Extension takes, I think we're really seeing a really great return because we're seeing it not only help citizens learn these skills, but actually take those skills and transfer them to the rest of the community. So investments today are all about kind of long-term solutions. And I'll share one anecdote. I don't think it's in here, but 4-H has done a program where they actually have high schoolers running programs with younger kids. And what they've done is they use interns to teach the high schoolers. So college students are teaching the high schoolers. And they actually reached a really nice, I think, win for the program in that one of the children that was actually an attendee has now become a teacher in Portland Public Schools. So I love those types of cyclical things where we see that long-term investment come to fruition. And I'll pass it off.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Kelly, and I live in Pownell, and I am the treasurer of the board. And I just wanted to make a pitch for the Master Gardener program. We have a huge backlog. Several hundred people want to be able to get into the program. And so far, we are able to administer 15 people each year. And we really need to expand that program. So we're working to figure out what do we need to do. Is it more people? Is it more resources? But it's really going to be an important piece. I was managing a booth for the Crawford Extension, and a woman walked up and said, "I've been rejected by that program 3 times now." And I said, "Please give me your name." And I went, and she's just hit the, wasn't there, didn't hit the number. So we really have this demand out there. And as a Master Gardener myself, I can tell you that it's really a very valuable set of skills. And thank you, Mr. Cloutier, for having come to our annual meeting this year. It was quite yummy.
Surprisingly enough, I had a piece of pie.
Jeez.
And I was one of the winners of the pie
I remember
contest.
that, yeah.
Was it blueberry?
No, they didn't have any blueberry. It was,
No, it was apple.
Apple.
From my own apple tree.
I didn't bake anything. My name's Tim Schmidt. I live in Pownell also. I've been involved with the board for the past 3 years. And 4 years ago, the only thing I knew about Extension Service was they did my soil samples from my garden. And they do, that's a great service. But what I've learned in 3 years is more about the other programs. And what's impressed me, and I hope that it also impresses you, that Extension Service, through its faculty and its outreach programs, actually meets with thousands of people every year. And they're teaching skills, and to me, it's like, it's building community. Because we not only work with the 4-H programs, but it's also, more recently in the past years, the diverse cultural groups that have come into Portland and come into Maine. And gardening is a big thing, and it's getting bigger all the time. And I just want to cap it with that. Thank you.
We do thank you for having us here this evening, and also wanted to allow time if you had questions or wanted more information, whether it's about anything that we've shared tonight or anything that's in our grant application.
Go ahead, Jim.
I was going to mention, that sometime in the next 20 minutes, we're going to appoint a member to your board of directors, and so I'm wondering whether you have an email address that we can access so we can end up with minutes and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. On the back
Right on
page
the
of
back.
that handout, it has my email address. So this isn't the only opportunity. If questions come up later, yeah, please feel free to reach out. We're always happy to connect. And
When do you usually have your meetings?
our meetings are on Wednesday nights, usually on the 3rd Wednesday night of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, from,
I'm on your board, but unfortunately, I have another meeting that very night.
yeah.
so, Unfortunately. So thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners?
And I'd just like to point out that, and you probably saw it when reviewing your packet, but their budget for the coming year is in your packet under the informational reports. So if the commissioners wanted to go back to their budget, it's in there.
And just so you folks are aware, we have changed our budget cycle, so normally this pitch would have been made and our decision would have been tonight, but we're now extended into, the decision will be in June of,
The decision will be, the commissioners will pass a budget by March,
by March.
hopefully.
Okay,
And the
Which
money
will
will
take
be
effect
available July 1st.
7/1.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that information.
We appreciate all your efforts in the community and in the state as large. And it's a very deserving organization.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate your support.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, I make one comment as a group of people that I meet with monthly, and the comments that I get about your 4-H program is outstanding.
That's great.
And it really affects the younger people that participate. gives them some real values, so my hat's off to you.
Thank you. I'll definitely share that with our 4-H staff.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you.
tonight.
Jim, do you want to circle back to the Thrive? Are there any other comments, or is that just a informational packet for us?
That is for your leisurely reading enjoyment.
Very good. As every piece of commissioner information is, right?
That's right. But a lot of good, it is worth the read because there's a lot of good things that have been done with the contribution that the commissioners make every year to Thrive.
Thank you for sharing the report. I'm sure we'll all review it in the near future. Any comments from the public this evening? Seeing none, we move on to consent agenda. We have one item, item 23103. County Manager Gailey.
We have the one item on the consent is authorizing myself to sign or renew the contract between Cumberland County and Trinity Services for the inmate food service contract. So that is ready to go. The major is here for any comments, but it is consent calendar. But it's all in line for commissioner action this evening.
Passage.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? Major, would you like to make any comments?
No, like I said, we've had the service for 4 years. It's a good collaboration. We get the best price than going independently, and no complaints. The products, the stock that we get, never a problem. So again, it's a good collaboration and it saves some money instead of being independent.
Excellent, thank you.
All right?
Any other comments, commissioners? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Matter carries 5-0.
I mean, no. Nothing, no.
That's all right, so you get 2 votes.
I got two votes.
You miss a meeting and you just,
No, I've missed two. I gotta be retrained.
we have no ARPA business this evening.
Not this evening.
New business, first item, 23104. County Manager Gailey.
Thank you. The next two items, 104 and 105, are very similar in theme, just two different collective bargaining units. The 104 is with the County Communications Association. As the commissioners may remember, moons ago, when we finalized that contract with that union, there was a plan to move them into a new main PERS retirement plan, and that is Special Plan 2C. And so there's a narrative within the position paper. Actually, I'll open it up. And there is the motion is in the position paper that needs to be made for approval in accordance with what Maine PERS requires of an elected body. I will say this is not only a plan that will be offered to the union because of their contract situation, but also non-union employees. There are 2 non-union employees at the CCRCC. And we typically do that just because if the 1 or 2 of those employees move on, we have a possibility of say, a dispatcher wanting to move up into one of those 2 spots. You don't want them to have to juggle moving from one plan back to another plan because of it. So we tend to encompass everyone, non-union and union, within the shop to prevent that. When we get into the law enforcement contract, which is the next one, and if it's okay, if I'll just do both and we
please
can
do.
2 different motions. The law enforcement contract is going to the 3C, and the 3C is primarily for law enforcement officials. It's the Teamsters Union and anyone that's a non-union but law enforcement. It does not include admins and positions like that. So, again, within the position paper, there is the motion that needs to be made and entered into the record to move in this direction. We will let Maine PERS know after this evening of both outcomes. as this kicks off January 1st, I think, of 2024. So we're right up against it this evening. So with that said, I'd ask for approval of both items, individually reading the motion that falls within each position paper in 104 and 105. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move passage, but I'd ask you to read the specific provision.
I can read it.
Yes. Go ahead, Patty. Thank you.
For agenda item request, authorization of the county manager to enter into the contract amendment between Cumberland County and the Maine Public Employees Retirement System, effective January 1st, 2024, to change its planned offer to eligible Cumberland County Commissions Association members to Special Plan 2C for future service only as outlined and negotiated in the current CCCA contract.
Is there a second?
I'll second. I'll second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Matter carries 5-0. Next item is the review and approval of item 23104. Patty, you want to read the,
Sure,
make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to pass item 23105, authorization for the county manager to enter into a contract amendment between Cumberland County and the Maine Public Employees Retirement System effective January 1st, 2024, to change its plan to offer to eligible Teamsters Local 340 law enforcement members to Special Plan 3C for future services as outlined and negotiated in the current Teamsters Local 340 contract.
Move approval?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Matter carries 5-0. Next item is item 23106, remand the proposed 24-25 county manager budget to the Finance Committee for their review and recommendation. County Manager Gaylor.
Thank you. Let me call up, my computer's been glitchy, so let's cross our fingers here. We'll run in safe mode, whatever that means. Well, it's kind of strange this evening, giving the proposed budget that we have, and my computer just froze up. As typically, this is a budget that we do final adoption on in December. If I can. Sorry. Let's try it one more time. There we go. Let's see if it holds. Like I said, we're looking at the manager's proposed budget this evening. This budget has, in a sense, 4 themes in the development of it. First is salaries, keeping up with market for what our employees are in their job fields within our region. Ability to hire and retain employees. There's a strong emphasis in this budget. And then the union contracts. There were a number of union contracts that have been approved over the last couple of years. As the commissioners are aware, we had a transition year over the last 12 months, 18 months, with 2 separate budgets. And we tried to keep those budgets as clean as possible. And so there was a lot of things in the union contracts that kind of show up in year 2 and year 3 of the contracts versus year 1 of the contract. So that has a large theme this year, and that the union contracts come into play. Benefits, we continue to have employees shifting in benefits and taking the county's, especially health insurance, Also, main PERS, as you just approved, two different changes to main PERS that cost just slightly or more. Software maintenance contracts, it seems like that is a blanket across every single department. We are so heavily dependent on different programs that we use, from the sheriff's office to the assessor's office. And it is a common theme that every software package was going up this year. And then fleet vehicles. Vehicles are no longer cheap. They were never cheap, but they're getting expensive. And we could get away with buying a Ford Explorer Interceptor for the sheriff's office for $33,000. Those are now $45,000. Fit-up cost of those same vehicles, we used to pay $12,000. They're at $17,000, $18,000, $19,000 each vehicle. Then the maintenance and parts. We have our fleet service manager chasing parts all the time because parts are just not readily available, and they're very costly. So we're seeing a lot of increase on the fleet vehicles. This kind of gives a snapshot of a few things that the budget was based off from. We're proposing a 3% non-union COLA, health insurance, the two plans that we have that we offer employees, the POSC, which the majority of the employees are in, is going up 7%, the PPO 2500 up 10%. We have 1.5 new positions in this budget. The one position is the admin in the Human Resource Office that was authorized by the commissioners over the summertime because of the hiring that we were doing and the help that the HR office needed. The half position is the recruiter within the HR office because we learned just within the last 60 days through the Department of Treasury that those positions that we had planned on integrating, that we originally funded with ARPA and planned on integrating over the next 3 or 4 years until 2026 when we can't spend any more ARPA, that is not the case. They kind of shifted the ball on us a little bit. Those positions now need to end funding as of December 31st, 2024. So in next year's budget, we needed to cover a half of the budget year for the recruiter position. We do have a couple other positions being funded by ARPA right now. We have, to some extent, it's not a, I'd probably say 50% of the public, 80% of the public health director's position would need to be covered, and about 10 or 15% of the behavioral health manager's position needs to be covered. However, as the commissioners are aware, we have started building over the last number of years, even before COVID, the money into the budget for an eventual public health office. That money that's been sitting there year over year is now going to be tapped to cover those salaries for the 6-month period of time. So we're good in that regards. However, we will have to, the next budget after this one, cover the remaining salaries of both those individuals. Then lastly, the ARPA position is the compliance and audit manager. That is solely distributing funding, contracts, and monitoring all expenditures and drawdowns from the Treasury Department. That position actually can be funded all the way out to 2026 because it is ARPA related. So that one position will fit our modeling that we had good intentions of a year and a half, 2 years ago. We're actually seeing a benefit of fiscal year. We are seeing a need not to take out such a large TAN, and that equates to a decrease of $70,000, even with the high interest rates that we're currently seeing. So that's a positive and a effective not going with calendar year budgets anymore. We're proposing no general obligation bond. We did that over the last couple of months. We have a non-debt capital of $376,000, and I am proposing a tax rate impact of 4.86%. How's the total expenditures look? County expenses, county general fund is up just under $1.5 million. Jail expenses are down just under $2 million. Cross Insurance Arena is down $90,000. For total expenses all net, a decrease of $520,801. Why the jail expenses? If you remember last year, we worked through a jail budget around this time period because we needed to get something on the books. However, we then worked with the commissioners in April, May of this year and refined that budget. And that's when we had to really take some deep cuts into revenue. And so that budget that we worked on this past spring, that's being reflected in these numbers here to show the true effect of year over year. The cross insurance expenses, the amount of subsidy that we budgeted for the general operations of the arena, that continues to go down as they are pretty much self-sufficient at this point because of the number of acts that they are pushing through the arena on an annual basis. Enterprise funds are up this year, just under $2 million. Grants are just over $1 million. So total expenditures of $69,731,509, or just under $2.5 million in expenditures, enterprise funds, and grants. Here's the jail expenses and revenue. As you can see, state funding was down year over year. Federal borders is down because we are not housing any federal borders from the Marshal Service at this time, though the sheriff and the major are working to get a presence back in the jail currently. County borders, we have not had that for a while, and other revenues in the jail has decreased by $33,000. Total jail revenues are down just over $1.8 million. We are not proposing any use of fund balance this year, as we did in the current year, and the total jail expenses are down $1.9 million. Ultimately, jail needs from taxes, as state statute allows, is 4%, or $614,226 of new money. When we get into the cross insurance arena, bond and principal interest is down just over $1,200. Prior year debt, just over $7,000 decrease. Operational decrease of $82,000 for a combined effort of a negative $90,197 for the cross insurance arena. Getting into what I consider the most important slide of all of them, that's the total needs from taxes. Pretty much the same numbers that I have just read to you in the previous slides, just all put on one slide. So total needs from taxes is just over $39 million, or just over $1.8 million, resulting in a 4.86% increase. Here's the outcome of debt, capital, and TAN. As you can see, I previously stated the tax anticipation note is down $70,000. Capital reserves are up $78,000, and then principal and bond are also up, for a total of $139,143 of new money to debt, capital, and TAN. And that concludes my presentation. As is always customary with the proposed manager's budget, typically the commissioners will take up a discussion but remand the budget to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee has established dates that they are going to meet. The first meeting will be on December 19th. Then we go on January 16th, January 30th, and February 20th. And those dates, those meetings will roughly start 5:30. I think we started at 5 o'clock last year.
Here in the Feeney Room?
Here in the Feeney Room, or we always reserve the right to push it out on Zoom, but at this point, at least the first meeting will be the Feeney Room.
Any questions for the county manager on the budget? Commissioner Cloutier?
Thank you for the presentation, Jim. I was just wondering, when it came to the jail budget, the status of the approved but at this point unfunded positions that are vacant in any respect. Is there any implication based on what you have prepared that addresses the status or changes the status of any of that?
It does not change the status. Those positions are still on the books but unfunded.
And if I remember right, it's somewhere around 20 positions at this point?
I think it was 26, 24, 26.
And our current hiring doesn't show those to be anywhere near filled at this point.
No. Getting close, hopefully. We got a lot of candidates in the hopper.
Well, and that does bring up another point, of course, but the census at the jail has, in my opinion, turned favorable in terms of the size that's there. The incarceration rate is, for whatever reason, is lower. And so it would be interesting to me to understand what the operational impact of all that is. So but that's not tonight's discussion, I'm sure. Thanks.
We'll do some digging on some numbers.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah, I kind of go along with what Jim was talking about. The budget, as I understand it, for the jail's gone up 4%, is that, would I see that? And with what's going on in the economy and what we've got, for example, utilities, the cost of power, et cetera, it seems like it's a little bit low, or maybe I'm off base.
Well, we're only allowed to go up 4% by state statute on new money for the jail.
Right, but I mean, we can only go up 4%, and the state has to supply the rest, which, if there is an additional, is that correct?
No. No. I will say that the jail budget, I believe Alex and Teresa and I need to work with the commissioners over the next number of months on that budget, because it is a budget that is in need of some help at this current time, and by no means the budget that you have in your packet is the final budget.
So,
A big variable out there is whether we can get the federal borders back in. And that will really play out on how that budget is structured for the coming fiscal year.
Well, I guess one of the things that's going through my head is that this biennium, there was no state funds put forth for jails. So that must have affected what you had for income.
Well, the funding we get from the state is, assuming that the base amount is the same, is it dependent on our inmate count relative to the rest of the state.
Right, but there was no additional funding added this year. So it was flat funded, I guess, is what would be the correct term.
Correct.
That had to have an impact on you.
Well, the bigger impact is the drop in inmates at the jail.
Okay, so that's how it's made up.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of pieces to the budget that are going to have to get fixed as we go along here, and also determining what we can reasonably budget for revenues from federal borders. There's a lot of variables still out there.
Okay. I mean, I just pass on that we are making an attempt to, we being the county's organization, is all the county's organization, the Maine County Commissioners, to try to get supplemental funding back. So to hear that, but thank you.
No, go ahead, I'll go. I don't know how long ago it was, but we had talked about how the daily rate for the feds? Where are we with that?
We are, our application has been submitted to the Marshal Service, and they are working through our application. And it's our hopes that, I think our consultant gave us middle of January, late January, we probably would have a good understanding of where the Marshal Service is going to fall out. The proposal that has been submitted is an increase from $130 a day per federal inmate to $160 per day. There will be additional responsibilities, we are guessing, as a result of that, largely because the Marshal Service has asked us about a year ago to take on more responsibilities. And those responsibilities include a standalone pod for federal inmates, a grievance officer, transportation to federal court so that the Marshal Service doesn't have to come out of New Hampshire to come up to drive inmates up next door here. So there were a number of demands. Whether all those demands are negotiated in, we shall see.
Okay, well, thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
I'm going to stay on the jail train, so it seems like we're talking about it. I guess one thing that I'm trying to understand and appreciate is one of the slides, I don't remember which one it was, showed the federal border gap of 1.4 million, or 56% change, because we were missing those federal borders. We had anticipated, I guess, them coming in sooner, yet we have a 1.4 million, I call it a gap. Was that just our guessing of when this program would come into effect, and it hasn't? So now we're looking at that huge percent change. That's a huge change, 54%, that we have to then deal with on a budget level. Was that just timing, or wishing that it would happen sooner than it did?
It's more of a timing issue in this particular case. What we're comparing here is the jail budget that a little over a year ago we put in place that was still assuming the jail was running at full capacity. So it put in all the expected revenues and all the expected expenses. And because we did that quite a while ago because of the fiscal year shift, we're comparing that big, everything's going fully, to the number now, which is just us getting back up and running number. So it's not actually a change from the sort of supplemental budget we did 9 months ago to now. It's actually the same. It looks like a drop because it is kind of a timing issue. We're hoping that we'll be able to still hold to that number where, at least for the second half of that year, we gradually ramp them up.
So like the $1.4 change, $1.4 million change, you're saying will be, hopefully, if we get the federal inmates up and running, that by the time the fiscal year ends, we'll have found that 1.4 million.
Yes, sort of.
I mean, I know budgeting is always a projection. You never know. I totally get that part. I'm just curious.
So the real struggle here is we have two competing things going on at the same time, or two offsetting things. One is gradually building those federal bordering inmates back up to help balance the budget, but also gradually adding staff at the same time. And we're trying to sort of land the plane where the two things are going to occur in conjunction with each other at hopefully the same time. Will this result in an eventual budget where everything's all the way back up? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a downward federal inmates and also a downward, but exactly where that's landing is the piece that we're still very unknown about, way more than even normal for budgeting, is the answer there.
Okay, great. Thank you for explaining that.
Any other comments or questions by the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner.
I was just going to mention, previous to the current administration, there was an administration that had to deal with caps, like the 4% cap that Commissioner Gordon was asking about. And frankly, and some of the caps were nonsense, ridiculous. And so the definition of a jail expense changed from year to year at times And that was the way that adaptation to the received wisdom from Augusta was addressed. So I hope we don't have to get involved with that again, but that ended up being the option that worked best at the time.
Time will tell. No other comments or questions. I'll entertain a motion to refer the proposed budget to the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Matter carries 5-0, and the budget will land in the Finance Committee. And Commissioners, to the extent that you can at least make one of those meetings, certainly would be helpful, I think, to the committee and to the executive staff. Next item on the agenda is item 23-107, approval of our 2024 calendar year. Hard to believe, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We have a 2024 calendar. Next item is item 23-108, approval of the 2024 Board Commissioners Committee assignments. And this is a meeting where no commissioner misses, because if you miss, you're assigned a committee you don't want to be on. Have you all had a chance to review the proposed committee assignment? Yes, any questions? Yes. Well, should we actually have the motion first, and then, so do I have a motion to adopt the committee assignments?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Steve Gordon.
You know, one of the things that I see here is that we have a number of meetings that commissioners are assigned to. I think it would be wise, or I'd like to at least maybe suggest to the other commissioners, that we have some alternatives, some alternates, rather, because there are many times where we get crossed up with other meetings, and you need somebody else maybe to fill in. I don't know how others feel about that, but if you knew that you were the alternate and you could kind of keep track of your calendar and what was going on.
Doesn't the vice chair take one of those responsibilities?
You have a question.
Commissioner Tonis, you have comments?
Well, when this came out, and some of these committees have been on here for 13 years I've been on here, and nobody has any idea with what they do. At what point can we get rid of them? Because we have no idea with what they are, and I don't think anybody's attending, which is with the liaison for the chief local elected officials,
Cleo.
whatever that is, and with the local emergency planning committee. Do you ever, I mean,
I think I got some minutes once, but I was
Yeah. So-
glad never to be notified of a meeting, so.
how was that?
And I actually made a deal with the manager that if I couldn't make the meeting, then he would make sure that did not cause any great disruption.
Can we take those off of there? Or do they have to?
You can do whatever you want.
So what's the status of Cleo, his
The status of, excuse me?
chief local elected officials?
I don't even have a clue what that is.
I've been assigned to it for 5 years, and I still can't find out what it is.
Apparently you're doing a great job.
Yeah,
There's been no objection about your participation.
Yeah, should we clean it off and eliminate
I
that?
would- yeah, I would.
I will say I'm available to trade with anybody that has any burning desire related to anything that I have been serving on.
Well, since you can't make Wednesdays, I can make your Wednesday meeting that you mentioned earlier tonight, I think
Yeah,
you said.
it's the third
Wednesday?
Wednesday of the month. I have a board meeting that I have to
I
attend.
can pick up that one for you.
Okay.
Which one is
It's
that?
a very nice group.
That's the extension
Oh, the
services, right?
extension.
The extension
Is
service,
it
yeah.
Board of Trustees, is that what it's called there?
Jim likes that meeting for pie.
Yeah.
He likes the pie.
That's Wednesdays, right? You said the third.
The third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
And they have, it's a very nice group.
And is there interest in removing local emergency planning committee? Is that Again, do we have any sense of what that committee does?
If I was to guess, that is through EMA, and that is their monthly meetings with police and fire chiefs.
Yeah, I do get the minutes on that.
Okay, so we probably should
But
have
it's
done.
done during the day, so
It
it's
is,
not.
yeah, it's like a 9, 10 o'clock in the morning meeting.
What, the Emergency Planning Committee?
Yeah.
So you still want to stay on it?
I don't object to being on it. They don't need me for anything, but they do send me their minutes, and so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the fire chiefs and everybody that, you know, what they're dealing with, I know nothing about.
So the amendments will be, and we'll need a motion to that effect, apparently. The extension service will be Commissioner Smith, and we're gonna eliminate the Clio liaison. Is that correct?
Yeah. I can be the alternate with the hub of the communications of a board if Commissioner Smith cannot attend.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have interest in being backup, an alternate?
Neil, do you want me to be your backup for the next year on the oversight committee? Because that's
Yeah.
during the day.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I've already told GP COG that I would not be renewing and going before the meeting in June were to be renewed. So with that will be open. But I guess you're going to take that, Jim?
Yeah, I can take that. That's a tough part of the day for,
Right in the middle of the day.
yeah.
Yeah. But you can always go in as a Zoom.
Yeah.
Right.
That's nice.
That's a Zoomy too.
Jim, can you Zoom the extension or no?
No, I don't think so. I'm in
A
the,
lot of-
I'm the
Okay.
treasurer of a board that I have to go to.
No, but.
Yeah, no, I meant, can I zoom into the extension?
Yeah, do they allow that? I
don't
bet they
think
would.
so. No, it's much less formal than that.
Okay, all right, I'll find out.
Plus you'd miss out on pie.
Right, that's the key.
Right. I think, yeah, I'm in it for the pie. Like, I don't have enough of that. We-
They do know
Okay.
how to bake.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I'll show you that.
I
Sometimes.
didn't tell anyone I'm a master gardener, so I didn't want to, I wanted to keep that real down.
Are you
low.
really?
Yeah.
I was thinking that when she was
Sure, I
presenting that.
know, yeah.
Oh.
Down low.
Any other changes or potential revisions to the list?
Well, I don't know about that, but the comment I guess I make is that I'll offer myself available if somebody can't make a meeting and they want coverage. Try to give me a call and I'll see if my calendar's open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump on. I mean, do you want to do it informally and just
Yeah.
send, if someone can't make a meeting, let another commissioner know? That works? Jim, do we need to actually amend the motion? Or can we just say we will, with these revisions, that's the commissioner and committee assignment?
Oh, wait a minute. The Maine County Commissioners, so, okay, we've got Jim there, but I would like to have another alternate, because the board meetings, only the commissioners can vote. So if I can't make it, I'd like somebody to be able to.
Those meetings are in Augusta?
Well, yes and no. And what I mean by that is that quarterly they're in Augusta. The others, they're on Zoom.
I can,
Okay.
whether I would actually make it to Augusta would be up to some judge usually, but
Okay.
usually I can zoom in.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to be his alternate?
Well, we'll have both he and Jim,
Oh.
so that Jim can go as a manager and be there whenever he needs to.
The Jim and Jim team?
Yep.
What about with the risk pool? That's not even on here, is it?
Yeah, yes, it is somewhere.
Up above.
Right.
Should send Alex so he can tell them what they're doing wrong.
Oh, by all means.
Well, I got an item for Alex, for proxy to the Greater Portland Council of Governments.
I second that.
What did you do wrong?
Oh, he wants this new fancy title. He needs to take on the
A
proxy.
little bit of weight there.
Hey, you get lunch, you get a sandwich.
All right, Alex, I like that, yeah.
It is, that makes sense.
Well, wait a minute, we do need the risk pool. We've got Jim. That's fine.
So it's gonna be Alex and Jim.
Can I vote at risk pool?
No, I don't think you can.
No, I think it's only a commissioner.
Right. Yeah. So, right, and,
Do they zoom in too?
Yeah, they Zoom. You want that?
How thick a meeting packet do you get on?
Probably about half a page if I had it. It's like this. It's just essentially what they do is the agenda is what the balances are, what cases they've got, and what the status is, and that's it.
It's all verbal.
Yeah.
Don't put anything in writing.
Shocking. Yeah, I can do that if, you know.
Okay.
Which one's he doing? Risk pool?
yeah, it's on the risk pool.
Boy, Jim.
I would be, my prior self would have been shocked that I would ever agree with this. business
Really?
model of operating.
What'd you get, hit in the head? Oh, oh.
That was both the MCCA and risk pool. Is that an additional proxy, or is that a
That's an additional
removed
proxy.
me?
Right.
No, that's an
Additional.
additional proxy.
Additional.
Got it.
Any other revisions?
So we're deleting the Clio. Commissioner Smith is taking over the cooperative extension.
Right.
And
And we're adding a couple of
Those projects.
additional. Right. All right, call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. Matter carries 5-0. And Jim, you're going to do those revisions for the,
I'm hoping Catherine took some good notes over
Yes.
there. If not, we'll watch the video again.
a little confusing, huh?
I got some notes. I'm about 80% there.
And the last item on the agenda is the appointment of a chair and vice chair for the Board of County Commissioners for 2024. What was that great line? Free at last? No, I'm sorry. So, there has been some discussion among the commissioners. Normally, the rotation would be, and Commissioner Cludier is assuming the chair. And Commissioner Smith would be the vice chair. However, I believe, go ahead. Commissioner Cludier.
Commissioner Smith comes into the usual suspect category for the vice chair because of her status as the replacement for Tom Coward. But in thinking about the rather extensive turnover that's going to occur on the commission here in the next couple of years, we figured out that if Commissioner Gordon became the vice chair this year, then he would succeed to being chair the next year. Commissioner Smith would be the vice chair at that point and would be chair the next year, and that would be probably a better transition for the whatever would happen as 3 more commissioners are, or 2 out of the 3 would be ineligible for further service, and only Commissioner Smith would be able to do that, and would be accompanied by 2 new commissioners who are going to be replacing the Commissioner Jameson and Commissioner Matonis. So it looks like we would have a real cliff turnover, and this might take a little bit of a bite out of that if she was available to kind of steer the commission in that year, and basically train a new vice chair. And not that there's much to train but there's some stuff that does happen. And so she was very gracious in saying that she thought that was probably okay, and as long as she hasn't changed her mind, we'll, I would suggest we do it that way.
Well said. No change of mind. Happy to defer my time.
We appreciate that. It's very
And
nice.
since this is an appointment, we don't need a motion, Jim, do we?
You need a motion.
To approve the chair and vice chair, so we do need a motion. So, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that James Cloutier be appointed as chair and Stephen Gordon be appointed as vice chair for the next year.
Nothing like self-serving, huh?
Yeah, right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Apparently,
that.
that's all the rage in government these days.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Matter carries 5-0. Patty, thank you for graciously stepping aside for a year, and ultimately will help you out with hopefully a more experienced person. Comments from the county manager?
I do have a few. First of all, just want to let the commissioners know that on December 1st, I was asked to sit as a panelist on a joint training between the Maine Town City Managers Association and our counterparts in New Hampshire, the New Hampshire Managers Association. This training was held up in Freeport at the Harris-Hekick, and the panel I sat on was to talk about hiring and retaining employees and what can we do. And so I did our spiel of everything that we've done over the last 2 years and all the work that HR and the commissioners have worked through on different policies, different benefit changes, wage changes, and so forth, on top of hiring a recruiter, the software program that has changed the face of how recruiting is done, I think, in the state of Maine. And it was received very well. I had a number of managers afterwards, both from New Hampshire and Maine, approach me asking how we funded it, how the software was working, and was very impressed with the number of applications that we're getting in the door, and the process that the software brings us through so that we always know the status of an applicant. And so just wanted to share that. We are far beyond other communities in Maine and New Hampshire on our recruiting efforts and ideas around retaining employees. So it was a good feel for all the work that we've done over the last year or two in that regard. Want to let everyone know that on January 10th at 5:30 p.m. in the Wyndham Library, there will be a listening session. This will be the first, in a sense, meeting with regards or associated with our Lakes Region homeless study that's going on right now. I believe the next one would be the month after. I believe it's in Naples. They do have 2 or 3 of these listening sessions planned. There's going to be a big blast going out. I know they're teaming up with Travis to seek his help on making a media blast to get this word out. But I just wanted to at least put January 10th at 5:30 on your radar for this effort.
Jim, you said that, is that going to be zoomed in, or is that piped in, or is that going to be live?
That is live.
It is live, okay.
Cross Insurance Arena has been pretty busy over the last week and a half. We started the last week and a half with UMaine's women's game that against University of Indiana. Completely sold out. A fantastic crowd, a fantastic game.
It was a
Almost
great
an
game.
upset. Almost an upset
You going in?
by UMaine. And so it was UMaine really outplayed Indiana for 3/4 of the game. And it
3.5, really?
Yeah. It was
Last
great.
4
So-
minutes.
Sold out about 6,300 tickets that game. The cruise then went into two Mariners games that had about 2,500 patrons apiece at them. Then Sunday had WWE, the World Wrestling Federation, or that's WWF, World, but anyways, wrestling. That was well attended, about 4,000 individuals there. This last Tuesday, they had Mannheim Steamroller there for their Christmas concert. And then this past Saturday, we had another sellout crowd for the 8th-ranked UMaine men's hockey team playing Bentley. And that was another 6,300 in the arena. So a lot of people through the turnstiles over the last week and a half. And kudos to the ops guys at the arena, because every time you go from ice to floor to ice to floor, like they did, it is a real pain. That hockey glass is not light, and there's a lot of moving parts. And it's a lot of times it's done at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. So kudos to them, and kudos to the operations staff and admin staff for job well done. It's going to be a busy year in the Cross Insurance Arena once we get through the new year, and so they're all bracing for not seeing their families for 3 months.
Your Mannheim program was unbelievable.
Was it?
Oh, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Did you go?
I had tickets, but my wife was right out sick, so I didn't go.
Yeah.
But the other 4 people that went, it was just outstanding.
Yeah, it was very good, I went.
And last, I just want to give a shout out to a staff person that we found out about on Friday in department head meeting. Public health staff person, Angela Giordano, we found out is in Buenos Aires right now and participating in the under 35 Olympics for field hockey. And so you never know who you have on staff until things like this pop up. And so kudos to Angela for all of her efforts in making that Olympic team for U35. So that concludes my communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Alex?
Well, this is my first meeting as the deputy county manager. I know it sort of feels similar because we've been deep in budget, but I'm really excited for the role, really excited to be reporting back possibly different things, and really excited for what Teresa's going to bring to it. So we'll see different comments moving forward.
Very good. Thank you. Teresa, any comments?
I just want to thank everybody and look forward to participating more in my new role. So.
Congratulations. We look forward to you doing great things. Catherine? Amy?
We're still hiring.
That's good news.
Doing steady, probably about 40 openings at this point, of which 2/3 are public safety. And a lot of the jobs are just in the final stages of offer and physical, and so we've really, the recruiting team has done a terrific job. Open enrollment is done tomorrow, so we'll be processing all that paperwork to get that all implemented by January 1st. But other than that, everything else is good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Travis?
At our visioning session earlier this year, one of the items the commissioners tasked staff with is focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we have been working throughout the fall toward a formal launch of the county's DEI plan that will carry on for several years. Sandy has been absolutely pivotal in putting this work together. We now have a small team that meets regularly. Amy and I are both on it. And the plan moving forward is to have department heads meet monthly, split up into groups, and work through defined tasks. And then the small group that Amy and I and Sandy and a few others work on will assess what comes out of those meetings and figure out what department heads need to move into the next phase, whether it's bringing in consultants or looking at policies and procedures. We're working out a schedule, so we'll work through the course of the next year, really building a program from the inside out. that will be strong and continual, and we have a 3-year plan that we're planning to really launch and keep operational starting January. The only other thing, you probably have noticed the kiosk when you walk in downstairs or walk out. That's the amount of solar energy that the solar farm we joined last year is generating real time. So we've been promoting that. It's kind of cool. You can see how many cars we've taken off the road already in regards to carbon capture or carbon savings, how many trees we've planted based on how much carbon we're not putting in the environment because of that solar array. So it's a cool thing to show visually what that investment is paying off for everybody, and we're saving money too. So
Was there anything that's jumped out in the cloture period in terms of people filing proposed bills?
well, we're in the constantly cycling emergency legislation sessions, there isn't really a
There's
defined
really
end.
no deadline.
There's no defined end in the second year. Every month they decide what's an emergency based on who can get 6 votes from the legislative councils. So, we'll go into this year dealing with a lot of the stuff we dealt with last year. I think one of the big items that we're embroiled in, and we probably don't need to get into our contract squabbles right now, but emergency medical services sort of was punted into this year, and I think it's going to be all the more feisty a debate up at the State House in 24.
Thank you.
Among other things.
Commissioner Gordon?
I wanted to add to what he was talking about. We do have, the counties have Bill LD 630 that's a carryover. And that's for funding rural patrol for, essentially, is the smaller counties that are struggling with it. And what we hope is that, or what we're trying to develop, is the program that we'll put forth when the Criminal Justice Committee has a hearing on it, of the need that the small communities have of the sheriff departments, the sheriff patrols, et cetera. According to the law, the state police are responsible to do it. They have winnowed themselves away from it, and counties have taken over so that there is the coverage for the public. And the problem is that and I don't think this was their intent, but the problem is it shifted the cost from the state tax buckets to the property tax buckets.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Travis. Commissioner Cludier.
Thanks. I just want to say congratulations both to Teresa and Alex. We're delighted to have you here in your new roles. And before I forget it, I want to make sure everybody understands happy holidays. They are rushing towards us, it seems like, without much time to notice. And I appreciate the opportunity next year to be involved further with what we all have been trying to do. I would invite any commissioner that has something in particular that he or she wants to be developed programmatically or otherwise, feel free to send me an email, give me a call, and I'll be sure to try to pay attention to it. And basically, that's it. Thanks.
Commissioner Wojciechowski.
I'm all set.
Commissioner Gordon.
Well, the only thing I will say to iterate is happy holidays and Merry Christmas to people, and to the staff, thank you. I can't say enough for the staff. Here is wonderful, the effort you put in and the assistance and help that the commission has received. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. Hard to believe, year goes by very fast. This is my rookie year. I can no longer call the rookie card, which is unfortunate, but it's necessary. I want to thank everyone for all their support this year, commissioners and staff. Just how impressed I am with the entire organization in terms of how the staff responds to requests, what the staff is working on, The visioning session that we did earlier in the year was really interesting to watch and be a part of. I'm really pleased for the recent promotions. I think the depth of the bench on this side of the table is incredible. I think it's wonderful to have that kind of strength together collectively, but also really highlighting your skills, each of you, in your new roles. So I think that's just really a positive for the organization to see that as an example. So I'm really pleased with that as well. Clearly, there's been a lot on the HR standpoint and hiring. It's never not going to be that way, probably, and I appreciate all the efforts that staff has done, because clearly it's put us in a great position this year, and moving into a new budget season, I'm just pleased that people are proactive and really working hard to kind of dig out of some holes from the pandemic and work on restaffing and staffing up and right-sizing where we can, so that we have just a great place to work, and a wonderful work culture. It's really apparent. I appreciate that as well. And I want to thank the chair for leading us through the meetings, and helping us stay on the page when necessary. I really appreciate that as well. And happy holidays to everyone out there. If you're out there having a good time, don't forget Uber and Lyft. They're your friend. Be smart, be safe, but have a wonderful, happy holiday. So thank you all.
Thank you, Patty. I would also like to congratulate and thank all the executive staff members and all the department heads for once again guiding the county through a very busy, monumental, and in some respects, generational change of a year. You, every day, are out there, every week, every month, planning and being creative, thinking outside the box to make up for gaps, whether it's a gap in a budget, gap in personnel. And we really are fortunate to have such a level of expertise, experience, and enthusiasm. And that's what makes county government in Cumberland so great. And so we appreciate that and hope that all you and your families have a great holiday. I would like to wish all people out there to have, whether it's happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, that you all embrace the peace of the season. And you find time to be with the people who are close to you, and that you find time to get off the treadmill, as we say, from work for a few days, catch your breath, and enjoy the end of another monumental year, hopefully for you and your family. Just circling back, one of the things when I started 12 years ago was the constant red numbers on the the Civic Center, now the Cross Insurance Arena budget, and to look where that that entity has come, both under county control, county management, is remarkable in a short period of time, and they're going to continue to improve. So that's just one example again of how excellent and experienced a job that you all have done. So thank you. With that in mind, I think we're adjourned. I'll entertain a motion to be adjourned. Yes.
I just want to say, before I move to adjourn, that I think you've done a great job as chair this year, and have been better organized than I ever was in that role, and also, you showed some great judgment and balance in what was kind of a rocky year in some ways, but in other ways was a very fruitful year. So that's you'll do some congratulations for that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate that.
I'm a wager.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
You want to postpone it for a little longer? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We